Well, chances are most, or maybe some Calgarians, were reveling in the extra hour of sleep Sunday morning as clocks went back 1 hour. But for kids, it's harder to change sleep schedules. To get some tips on managing the time change and other sleep issues, we have kid sleep expert Kitty Raymond with us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Andy and I were joking a little bit before. It's, you know, when you have a young child who has no sense of time and they don't particularly sleep in, that time change means nothing to them, right?
That's right. It can be very frustrating for parents, and sometimes it goes very smoothly. And they don't have to do anything, and they think, does my child have a watch, or how did they figure that out? But quite often, the persistent old bedtime and old wake-up times will stay there for 2 or 3 days at least. But the best advice is, just like what we do for ourselves, put your child to bed at the new right time.
The new right time.
The bedtime that you've always had before, keep that on the new time. And it doesn't matter if they don't fall asleep right away or they cry a bit, that's okay. And if they wake up early in the morning at one point in the year, just leave them to settle themselves or to wait. And pretty soon, within about 3 days, their biological clock will catch up with the new time.
I would think that the sort of falling back is a little bit easier for me anyway, because I mean, you know, they're a little bit more tired because it feels like 1 hour later, as opposed to in the spring where you're trying to get them to bed before they're tired.
And it also brings us more dark, which is easier on children for falling asleep and staying asleep than when it's getting lighter and lighter all the time in the spring.
Okay, well, let's talk about some issues then, though, if your child really is kind of resisting the routine for this reason or otherwise. What is your sort of methodology? Is there one thing that fits all kids?
Well, of course, every plan that I help parents with needs to be tailored to that family and their style of parenting and what they're comfortable with. But in general, it all comes down to allowing the child the freedom to design their own self-calming strategies, which may, for young children, that'll be the thumb or the fingers, or twirling the hair, and for older children, various things. The only time they do that is when we are not right in there helping. So the plan usually includes me helping the parents learn to step back and let a little bit of fussing and crying happen. And the child, remarkably, just takes over with designing their own self-calming strategies, learning how to sleep better.
How important is consistency?
Unfortunately, it's very important. And many families find that hard today, especially if you have older children who are in and out and involved in things, or just an irregular lifestyle at home. But by the time a baby gets to be certain ages, they're keeping track of inconsistencies.
Because if they give them an inch, they'll take a mile,
exactly.
Right?
And they don't mean to be mean, but that's just how they're designed. So yes, you have to be consistent and get back to consistency when you fall off the wagon every now and then.
Yeah, and it ebbs and flows. We were talking about this during the break, is that, you know, you can get on a good schedule and then it'll change. And
yes,
then a good
especially if you
change.
go on a trip, and Calgarians are notorious for travel, or the child gets sick for a little bit and you have to be up with them in the night. That's memorized, and then you have to begin to wean them off of that overnight attention.
Well, I do not know one parent in the world who could not have used your help at one point or another. You should definitely check this out if you're going through something right now. A prenatal and baby sleep class tomorrow from 7 to 9 at the Bridgeland Community Center. Kitty Raymond, a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.